All right, hey everybody, nerds drink whiskey, always sip, never slam, and we're here again at our home away from home, Doggers, in Yelm. This is their unofficial slogan that I have gifted them is, at Doggers, you will be made welcome. So you will be welcome. So that's why we keep coming here. They always make us feel welcome, and today we're going to try something called Lauder's or Lauder Scotch. Yeah. So it's a blended, and it is, according to our Scotch expert over here, it is the aging is just at the legal limit for Scotch.
It's the very minimum. It's 3 years and 1 day. That's one of the requirements for it to be called Scotch. The other one, it has to be from Scotland, and it meets those requirements. It
meets the requirements to be called Scotch. So, anyways, so we're gonna give this a try, and I don't know. We're gonna have Dogger himself come up, pour us some Lauder Scotch, and
I said it last week, and I'll say it again. All hail Dogger.
So I gotta ask if they got it just a little bit over the legal limit of Scotch, would that be just one Lauder?
Maybe.
Some people got that reference because I heard some groans, and that was a groan-worthy joke. So,
really bad.
as most of mine are.
Yes. I was gonna say something to Dogger, but I'm gonna leave it alone.
Oh my Lord.
No, I'm really gonna leave this alone, dude.
Just to smell, and what's your review of just the smell?
Just the smell. Here we go.
Our Scotch expert, just the smell.
There's not a lot of aroma to this, but it's very chemically, alcohol-y kind of.
It's not. It's definitely not an Islay.
No, not an Islay. For those of you who don't know, an Islay Scotch is something that's been filtered through peat, has a very peaty kind of flavor. I love them. Not everybody does. Mark hates them.
From what I understand, Scotch is an acquired taste. You either have it or you don't.
Have you tried it yet?
I stepped away from the podium
you in the middle. Come on, be brave.
For a very specific reason, because I know this Scotch very well. This Scotch is very dangerous because it is very, very bad.
It's a little peaty. It's just a slight bit peaty.
Yeah, a lot of Scotches that have a little bit of peat to them.
Yeah, just a touch of peat.
Not enough to be called an Islay, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably my least favorite Scotch, I'll be perfectly honest, but at the same time, if you must have Scotch, you can drink this. It's just, I put it a little bit lower than Clan McGregor, and Clan McGregor's like about $15 a bottle.
Okay.
So.
Initial taste, I can't really describe it, but it tasted good. Halfway down the tongue, good. Then it hit the rest of my mouth, and it was like, ew. It just
the finish is not
the finish is horrible.
Yeah,
it's still burning my tongue.
A few episodes ago, we were talking turpentine. This is worse than turpentine.
Yeah,
this is like gasoline.
Well, bad bourbon is
kerosene.
Bad bourbon is turpentine. I don't know. Bad Scotch is kind of more of a.
It's more of just isopropyl. I don't know.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I would trust
as the Scotch expert
undertone.
As the Scotch expert, where would you rank this in other Scotches?
Really low. It's certainly not the worst I've had. I've had some pretty bad Scotches. I have this bad habit, my girlfriend including, Kara the woman, we buy, when we're feeling cheap and we're just really not looking to sip, we're just kind of going after it while we're doing something. We go to our local department store and we buy Prestige, and it's just like some of the cheapest stuff. It's like $9 a bottle or $10 a bottle. It's right there with that. This I know costs a little bit more, maybe. I know I've bought this before, but it's right around the that area. So
this
it's harsh,
think about 11,
but it's not horrible.
$12 and $14 a bottle.
Yeah, something like that. So not the lowest. I've had much worse Scotches, though. This just is very unrefined. It needs age. It needs a lot of age.
In its defense, I do have to say the initial taste is light and kind of smooth, but after letting it sit for a minute or so, that I can't describe the horrible.
Yeah.
I'd
I'd say this still ranks better than the Shieldig Islay. So that's, yeah. Real quickly, we got 4 minutes left. One thing I'd like to discuss is in the Star Wars world, I've noticed that Lucasfilm, as well as several different other media outlets, have loved to, anybody who's critical of Star Wars, and this happened anytime anybody's critical of something in nerd culture, if they're at least bit critical, they just automatically get labeled as either racist or sexist, and it's this knee-jerk reaction defense that they have. Instead of looking at maybe the fact that they need to up the quality of writing, oh no, you guys must hate it because you're sexist or racist. Have you guys run into that, and what's your thoughts?
I've seen a lot of that online. I also see a lot of it as they're just looking for the smallest issue as to if they change directors, suddenly that movie is just going to be horrible, stuff like that. But a good movie's a good movie.
A bad movie's a bad movie.
A bad movie's
Yeah.
a bad movie. And really the sexist, racist thing, that comes into, that's just people talking.
Right.
And it's not like that.
And I mean, the thing is Leia Poppins had nothing to do with whether she was female.
Yeah.
The fact is people were very upset about Holdo's sacrifice, and that was because there was another much more iconic character that was killed off without
came out of
any
the blue.
thought.
We don't know
And
anything
she
about
came
her.
out of the blue, and I guess there's some novels that you could have read that maybe kind of gave a little bit of a backstory on her, but nobody cared about Holdo. She was a brand new character. She hadn't really been developed, and suddenly she's making this huge sacrifice, but Admiral Akbar is just like, oh yeah, by the way, he died.
Yeah.
All
it's
the
that
iconic
quality of writing.
characters, they're just killing off, and there's no explanation.
Yeah.
We grew up with these iconic characters, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, Akbar's dead. It's like, there's no more, it's a trap.
Right.
You know?
And so I think it's really they really don't want to admit the fact that it's because of poor writing. It's nothing to do with sexist or racism. We got 2 minutes left.
You're
What's
discussing
your thoughts?
this, and even with the sour taste, we're talking about the new Star Wars movies, and I have to have something to drink.
I believe I understand you on that. I mean, it's kind of interesting at the same time though, because they did the same thing with Ghostbusters, although this is in Star Wars' case.
And it
They
was
did
the
the exact
precursor.
same
It was
thing
the
with
exact same
Ghostbusters.
thing.
Yeah, and it's also funny because there have been, I don't know if anybody's seen this, they had actual petitions online to actually have a new version of The Last Jedi written.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Which
actually had, that they had supposed backers,
They
like
got some
financial
big
backers.
name backers.
Which wouldn't happen because that's
Disney doesn't
legally
do
you
that.
can't do it, but it definitely sends Lucasfilm maybe a good message. Hopefully they'll figure it out. But I got to say that Solo didn't suffer because Solo was bad. Solo suffered because Last Jedi was bad.
Solo's
That is
great.
true.
I agree
Watch
with that
Solo if
because
you
I
haven't
was
seen
part
it.
of the protest where I joined a protest. We didn't go see it opening weekend, and I still haven't seen the movie because it just. I know people saw it. They said they enjoyed it. It was a halfway decent movie. It was good. It's just it's the first Star Wars movie I have never gone to the theater to see.
Yep.
See it, watch it. Cool. Go watch it.
All right.
It's awesome. I love it.
So,
Netflix
so
will coming
anyways,
out soon.
go watch Solo. It's go watch Solo, but I still say Last Jedi. They need to stop that. So anyways, we're going to go to our weekly wrap-up, weekly roundup of nerd news, and we'll be back here next week with Black Velvet. We're going to try that.
Black
and
Velvet.
Our tribute to
excited.
Poor Man's Whiskey. So this month on Nerds Drink Whiskey. So we'll be back next week with Black Velvet and more on Nerds Drink Whiskey at Doggers in Yelm.
Prost.
May the force be with you.
Bogus production problems might stop Bill and Ted 3 from happening. Please, someone tell us this isn't true. In a recent interview with Yahoo Entertainment, Keanu Reeves sounded doubtful. I don't know if Bill and Ted 3 is a reality, adding, "We've been trying for a long time to get that film made. And it still has its challenges." Shut up, Ted! Last week, we got the first look at Zachary Levi as Billy Batson / Shazam. This seems to have excited fans. It also inspired some to go a bit crazy with memes. There are a few of them. They're exactly what you'd expect from the internet, yet perfect at the same time. Please post your favorite Shazam memes in the comments section. Shazam hits theaters on April 5th, 2019. The backlash against Kathleen Kennedy continues. She is the boss of Lucasfilm, so in the end this all lands on her feet. She hired directors, fired directors, and hired new directors all within a single film. She hired Rian Johnson, then gave him an entire trilogy. The Last Jedi has fans more ticked off than a Jar Jar Binks tribute at Star Wars Celebration. There have been rumors for weeks that she has either been forced out or will step aside voluntarily for Star Wars 9. Some are saying that she is giving J.J. Abrams complete creative control. There are also rumors that Disney boss Bob Iger wants Kathleen Kennedy out, but no one will take her job. September is when this will all hit the proverbial fan. Do you think it's true? Godzilla, King of the Monsters first look. The world is reacting to Godzilla in the same way we would react to any other terrifying incident. In that we are overreacting, says director Michael Daughtry. The director continued, but there's paranoia and endless speculation about whether he is the only one out there or whether we're threatened by others like his kind. In King of the Monsters, they make it clear that there are other big beasts such as the three-headed king Ghidorah, Mothra, Rodan, and possibly more. Godzilla King of the Monsters is out May 31st, 2019. If Tron and Mad Max had a baby. A hubless motorcycle? It looks really cool at first, but then you start to notice things. The bike never turns. A pedal bicycle is keeping up with the motorbike at one point. The design would give me a massive fear of potholes, but it does look pretty cool. Warcraft director Duncan Jones' next movie to be an adaptation of the classic 2000 AD character Rogue Trooper. No further details about the Rogue Trooper movie have been revealed as yet. But the final line on Duncan's recent Twitter teaser suggests that more information will follow very soon, possibly at San Diego Comic-Con, which takes place next weekend. If the movie happens, it will be Jones' 5th film. Most recently, he directed the sci-fi thriller Mute for Netflix. Rogue Trooper was created by writer Jerry Finley Day and artist Dave Gibbons, and he first appeared issue 228 of 2000 AD in 1981. Stan Lee returns to social media. The Twitter message text simply said, "I'm back, Stan." However, it included a video where the 95-year-old explained that it took a while to get used to being 79 years old. He, of course, ended it with Excelsior. Zombieland 2 is happening. The sequel will happen with director Ruben Fleischer and original cast, a decade after the original. The movie is expected to begin production in January and hit theaters in October 2019. Zombieland 2 will reunite Emma Stone, Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, and Abigail Breslin. Jeremy Renner out of the Mission Impossible series. Due to contractual obligations to Marvel, Jeremy Renner's William Brandt is out. Writer and director Christopher McGuire talked recently to Digital Spy about the absence. So there was just simply no predicting. If we had a finished script, we would have been able to say, yes, this will work. And we can let you go for this time, but there was just no predicting what those roles were going to turn out to be. It was just an unfortunate case of bad timing. Stan Lee is the boss now. It's called Workforce, and it seems to be an animated comedy series. The series will be launched on the realstanlee.com website. Stan Lee himself plays the boss, with the team of superhero staff that he leads. Nathan Fillion as Uncharted's Nathan Drake. In a short that clocks in just short of 15 minutes, Nathan Fillion leads an all-star cast Uncharted mini-movie. Also starring in the fan film is Stephen Lang as Sully. Gino Seegers as Diego, Mircea Monroe as Elena, and Ernie Reyes Jr. as Altigra. It was directed by Alan Unger and written by Jesse Wheeler and Unger. Greg Berlanti developing Batwoman for CW. Many already joke that Greg Berlanti owns the CW, but those jokes are only going to ring more true. Greg Berlanti and Caroline Dries are developing the drama ahead of the lesbian character's debut in the network's DC crossover event in December. Batwoman revolves around Kate Kane, who, armed with a passion for social justice and a flair for speaking her mind, soars onto the streets of Gotham as Batwoman, an out-lesbian, highly trained street fighter primed to snuff out the failing city's criminal resurgence. Who would you cast as Batwoman? Little Book Chapter 2 was no simple task. Being the 8th generation Beam family distiller comes with an automatic challenge to bring out the finest product. Frederick Booker No III had to live up to the standard brought by Booker's Bourbon, its namesake Booker No, and the legacy of the Jim Beam family. Even the name of the whiskey is the nickname his grandfather Booker No gave him. Although the second chapter of the Little Book series was his 34th attempt, the balance of Kentucky straight rye, Canadian whiskey, and Canadian rye might be just what was needed. It's a bold step to release a blended whiskey when you come from a legacy of straight bourbons and rye whiskeys. In the end, I found the 40-year-old whiskey and 13-year-old rye helped me achieve exactly what I wanted. A truly balanced and refined whiskey with a nice lingering finish that's full of flavor. Will Mark Millar's Netflix series make him a Kingsman? And will it kick ass? Mark Millar is best known for his work in comic books The Authority, The Ultimates, Marvel Knights Spider-Man, Ultimate Fantastic Four, Civil War, Kingsman, The Secret Service, Wanted, Chrononauts, Superior, and Kick-Ass. The later 7 of which have been or will be adapted into feature films. His next creations are strictly for Netflix. Jupiter's Legacy follows the world's first generation of superheroes, who received their powers in the 1930s. American Jesus follows a 12-year-old boy reincarnated as Jesus Christ. 3 movies that are included in his Netflix deal are Empress, Huck, and Sharky the Bounty Hunter. Will these live up to his reputation as a comic book writer? Jason Momoa was almost an MCU villain. I met the Russo brothers, who are amazing, Momoa revealed. It was one of the best meetings I've ever had. I was going to do something with them, which unfortunately didn't work out. He also auditioned to be in Guardians of the Galaxy, and the rumor is that it was to play Drax the Destroyer. Aquaman opens nationwide December 21st. Dark Knight returns to IMAX screens for 10th anniversary. July 18th may be the exact anniversary day, but Friday, August 24th is when Warner Bros. Wants to celebrate. It will run for 1 week only. The Dark Knight was one of the first major Hollywood movies that was partly shot in IMAX. Disney wins war for 21st Century Fox. Comcast has dropped out of the fight for 21st Century Fox assets. This means Disney will very likely soon own Avatar, the X-Men, Deadpool, and the Fantastic Four. I'd like to congratulate Bob Iger and the team at Disney, and commend the Murdoch family and Fox for creating such a desirable and respected company, Comcast chief Brian Roberts said in a statement. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie gets title. The Joker movie will simply be titled Joker. I'm sure they stayed up several nights thinking of that one. Joker will be released October 4th, 2019. Kevin Smith isn't afraid of failing with Hollyweed. We've told you about Kevin Smith's new pot series that he launched on Reddit. We now know that this new crowdfunding site needs to bring in $5.3 million to greenlight 6 more episodes. This doesn't include the pilot that you can watch now at the Rivet website. If you had asked me to do this like 6 months ago, I would have been like, oh, I don't know, because what if it doesn't work? And then I look like an old or something like that. I almost died 5 months ago. So now I'm like, let's try it, man. Read the entire interview at uprocks.com now. Star Wars. The Clone Wars are back. There will be 12 new episodes released to the Disney streaming service. This was announced during the 10th anniversary Clone Wars panel at San Diego Comic-Con. Producer Dave Filoni announced that they would finish the story left hanging after the show's abrupt cancellation in 2013. Disney's direct-to-consumer streaming service is expected to launch sometime next year.